changed the rules to make the extra point be from further back,
right?
And so the percentage chance of scoring the extra point was reduced slightly. So it actually made the risk reward of going for 2 points greater, because that was still only from 2 yards out.
Right.
And the Steelers just came up with loads of plays, and actually for a number of years the Steelers were getting gradually worse and worse at goal line. After the boss retired, and now all of a sudden because this bulk of this group of plays were bought in for these 2 point conversions, it actually means we are a much better red zone team. And I think we've seen that sort of thing happen before. Actually, this bonus point thing in one of the nines competitions that was ran over here, they had it where you could go for an extra. It was like an extra try, and you'd start on the 10-metre line, and
were they doing that when we went to watch it?
Yeah, when we went to Wigan and watched that tournament that night. Yeah. And that was quite entertaining, I thought, and it was another thing. Definitely in the nines, they should bring it in. I know they've got the bonus zone, but I get that. But an extra play, and give them like 3 points or whatever, or 2 points. I
like it.
I'm all for it.
Good suggestion, Saguna.
Although I don't want to change the game too much, if we're honest.
Not for change's sake, but I like it as an idea. I don't think it's something that would come in, to be perfectly honest. I think there'd be too much.
I don't know if anything. The NRL is looking more and more at the NFL for what it wants to do, and I think someone in Australia,
as are many of its players, in terms of how they behave.
Someone in we haven't had the gun stories yet, so we're okay for that.
We're getting there.
Anyway. Someone wrote about how the sort of NFLification of the NRL competition over the weekend in Australia as well. But anyway, moving on. Bob Phillips said, "Have you seen the at Men Anti-Violence campaign? White Twibbon to the Avatar."
Yes, no,
if I know how to add Twibbons,
yes,
I would figure it out.
We would do for a time. Maybe Bob can help us on that. No, I hadn't seen it up until Bob suggested it to us, and we'll be talking more about our stuff with Refuge and the charity work that we're doing later in the show. But again, no, it's worth people having a look at, because it kind of dovetails very nicely with what we're about this year in terms of our charity. So it's at, all one word, Men Anti-Violence, if you want to follow them on Twitter, and I would wholeheartedly recommend that you do.
Well, we had a couple more tweets in about it. Chris Macy, he said, "Awesome show again, guys. Only started listening this season, really enjoyed it. Kudos, Tom, on your charity idea." And Wally Frogmore said, "Love the campaign, guys. Excellent idea. Lots of clappy hands and emoticons."
Fantastic, thank you, gents.
We had Colin Render send us this, but I saw it around a few places over the...
I'm not keen to allow him to plagiarise this and claim credit for it. But
I'm not sure if he was. I think he maybe was just making us aware of it. I'm not sure. But he said, "Roses are red, champagne is bubbly. Have a wonderful day. I'm off to the rugby. #Valentine's Day."
Fair enough.
I got myself almost in trouble, really, over this.
Right.
So we weren't doing anything for Valentine's Day.
No, we never do we?
Me and the wife.
All right.
I was told. So Cass, our mate, had got tickets through work, corporate tickets for the Warrington against Hull KR game on Sunday.
Fantastic.
So he asked me if I wanted to go, and I was like, well, Emma said she didn't want to do it out for Valentine's, so yeah, sure, why not? Got home that night, told Emma. She seemed okay with it. She goes up to bed. About 20 seconds later, she's back halfway down the stairs, looking through at me, going, "Do you have to go on Valentine's Day to the rugby?"
You should have said, yes, it's the beginning, don't give in.
The fairly valid point she followed up with was, "You're going to the fucking rugby every night next weekend. I think you can give me this after." You're going on Friday, you're going 3 times the weekend after. When have I seen you?
Yeah, that is valid. I'll give you that. Fair enough.
So after that, I sort of backed down. But we'll hear about Cass's day later on.
Yes.
Andy Barker, he said, "Interesting debate topic for next week's show. Ash Hanley is on dual reg with Fev and has been named in both the Leeds and Fev 19-man squads."
Yeah, it's a loophole, isn't it, that needs closing.
Well, he played for Fev.
He did,
but he will,
as you would anticipate.
But he will be playing for Leeds next week with their injuries they've pulled up, because Briscoe is one of the players that will be missing the World Club Challenge, and he'll slot into that wing spot like he did last year, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a massive problem with it in terms of... Ash Hanley is a young up-and-coming player who is not going to get first-team Rugby League every week at Leeds, but would probably be one of the first names on the team sheet at Fev. But in the, it does give teams some leeway. It's just, I don't think the system is being abused in this specific case. But I feel like once you get down to the middle eights, that's when there needs to be some kind of clamp put on this to make sure that teams aren't kind of stocking up their dual reg side with, because Fev by every measurable kind of parameter could well be in the top 4 at the end of the season. Now, is he necessarily?
But a decision has to be made then, doesn't it? If you turn it into a loan, or if you, because dual race doesn't apply to that period. That's what happened last year.
Does that cut off? Then?
I'm pretty sure that's what happened last season. I think that's meant to be carrying on this season.
Oh well, then that does it for me. Then that answers the only question I would have.
Fair enough.
To do with that, right? So that's the feedback and shout out.
Yeah, thanks for getting in touch, everyone. A few good ones there, really. Actually, really enjoyed them this week.
It's lovely stuff. So let's take a look at both our polls.
Okay, Tom. So every week you get your poll excited, you get stuck into some serious rugby league action. What have you been getting your poll stuck into this week, Tom?
Well, I think I might have whipped my poll out a bit too early this week, Mark. You are obviously more experienced in terms of all things statistical. It's what you studied at university to a point, and analysis and things like that, and it's what you do for a living. But the question I wanted to ask last week was, because I was excited about the fixture.
I answer complaints for a living.
Yeah? I thought you did like statistical stuff.
How long have we known each other?
Oh, fuck!
I've done the same pretty much the same job since.
Well, then you're like Chandler. It's something with numbers. People ringing. I don't know. What do I do for a living? No, you probably do know exactly what I do for a living. Reasons I'm a shit.
Window fucking hotels in Slovakia.
Hashtag reasons I'm a shit mate. Anyway, the point is you like
statistics. I'm not your mate anymore. Adam O'Brien's your mate, isn't he?
I can have more than one friend.
Whatever.
Don't let what me and Adam have got get in the way of that. Look. I can like one.
Tell you what, your poll was definitely more excited when Adam O'Brien was on the phone than it was about this question you asked this week.
I can like more than one bearded ginner.
Fair enough.
All right. So my question this week, and it was ahead of what I anticipated to be quite an exciting game, was who would finish higher, Hull FC or Catalan, given the strength in recruitment that had gone on in both teams' packs. Now, obviously, this was posed prior to Hull FC absolutely blowing Catalan out of the water, and you may well shrug your shoulders at me. But 68% of us thought that Catalans were going to finish higher up than Hull FC, 68% to 32%. Now, I would stand by this and say that over a long season, this could still well end up being the case.
Well,
and that one performance doesn't necessarily mean that,
You know my views.
This is wrong.
This poll wasn't the most
accurate
or pertinent one that we've done.
No, don't bollock me on the show. It's going to be better next week, isn't it?
I just, like you said, you took your poll out too soon, which often is a safe way to go. This week, I think you still made a bit of a mess when you pulled your poll out, and the clean-up operation continues. I think. Let's
not deny anything that the real reason for Tom's poll is to allow us a vehicle through which to make a series of lewd innuendos every week.
What are you on about?
Long may my poll continue.
I'll tell you what.
To provide us with
more like a stub than a poll.
You've been looking. Right, let's take a look now at
someone has to see it for you. You answered it for a decade. We're getting ourselves in trouble.
We're getting. One of us is going to say something to top the other that no one can take back. So yeah, okay. Before this friendship crumbles before your very eyes, let's take a look now at news from around the world of Rugby League. Okay, news from the world of Rugby League this week. Lots of injury news to bring people, amongst other things. The first of which was news this week that Huddersfield Giants halfback Luke Robinson has been forced to retire due to a persistent hip injury. The 31-year-old took the decision after consulting with specialists and admits he had little choice but to call it a day on his long-term ability was at risk if he continued to play. Robinson told Hull's official website, "In many ways the decision was taken out of my hands by listening in the cold light of day to what the specialist had said. Put simply, my long-term mobility was greatly at risk if I continued to train and play the sport." You never want to hear those sorts of words, and it does shock you, but after a few days the message sinks in and you have to do what's right for yourself and your family. My immediate future will be rehabilitation from an operation which the club are fully supporting me through, and then we have said we'll have a sit down and look at where I can be of benefit to the club. So a real shame really, because Luke Robinson has achieved a good deal in the sport of rugby league, representing England on a couple of occasions and playing in a World Cup, and also sort of being part of that growth of Huddersfield Giants as well. And he spoke very eloquently at the start of the Super League coverage as well, with Eddie Hemmings, just about the injury, and it was quite sad really, because you could see the emotion in his eyes too. He did
a speech at half time on the pitch at the stadium as well, where you could sort of get the same thing being conveyed. I also listened to his interview on BBC 5 Live Extra as well after the game. So there's plenty of Luke Robinson stuff going on. So I think everyone will sort of have a good feel for what he said. But basically, the decision was taken out of his hands, and once that happened, everyone around the club encouraged him to say, "Look, we know you've put a good shift in for this club over the last 7 or 8 seasons, and you know, you've been a massive part of what's happened here. You're leaving the club in a better place than you were when you joined it, sort of thing." And credit to him for that. He obviously did a decent job at Salford, had a brief spell with Cass along the way, and started his career at Wigan. He spoke quite well about how Wigan were kind of the club he supported growing up, and then Huddersfield will be the club he follows now his career's over. So it was a nice way to end his career, Huddersfield versus Wigan game, because it was his 2 clubs essentially, the way he saw it. So good luck to him in the future. Sensible decision made, and I hope it pays off for him in terms of his long-term health with his family and that.
Yep, absolutely. Another person suffering from injury this season, Castleford Tigers have lost their captain Michael Shenton for what is more than likely going to be the rest of the season, with an anterior cruciate ligament injury sustained during his side's opening match of the season. The former England centre was helped from the field during the first half of the Castleford Tigers' 16-all draw with Hull KR at the Lightstream Stadium, and scans confirmed his worst fears. Some of you will already have heard that my season has ended before it began with a knee injury sustained yesterday, said Shenton, which is extremely frustrating for me. Linked into that, John Budebza of Hull Kingston Rovers has been banned for 4 matches for making Grade B dangerous contact on Michael Shenton in the 27th minute of that first round Super League fixture. The injury caused to Shenton was deemed an aggravating factor in this case, and the tribunal has the discretion to step outside of the normal grading ranges. An early guilty plea was available, however the match review panel elected to withdraw this option as a serious injury was caused. Budebza, who pled not guilty, was also fined £300. He appealed the decision, but this was dismissed by the disciplinary in Wednesday's hearing. Lots to talk about on this one, because it's caused quite a lot of...
I like Michael Shenton as a player, and it's a shame for him and for Castleford. I made him my key player for Castleford, didn't I, before the season, because he was the highest win percentage for them was games he played of any other player in the squad last season. So obviously it's a big loss for them. I feel a bit sorry for John Budebza. I think it's been made, unless this is how they're going to treat this sort of thing forever now, and a line in the sand on the past where aggravating factors were not really taken into account unless you were Gareth Hawke. And if that's how the way they're going to do it, I sort of have less of a problem with it, but I still don't like it. But fair enough, because people have always felt this sense of injustice about the way the disciplinary system works, and you can't have it both ways, I suppose. Only once since I've been putting together records on these things has a ban been given that was higher than the maximum possible ban. And that was Gareth Hawke at the start of last season when he put his knee in twice. And the maximum from the 2 offences would have been 5 games, and they gave him 6 games. That's the only time in my records that I've put together when I've been doing my reviews of stuff that I've seen that happen. And this time they've doubled the ban. And I don't think the tackle necessarily warranted it. I think conditions had something to play. I think position of the players had something to... I just don't... The angle I've seen is hard to see, because for some reason the RFL let the 2 teams wear the same fucking colour socks, which made it hard to see. But it looked as if Shenton sort of steps out, and that's why Budebza ends up on one leg rather than the both that he was trying to go for. And I think that's what... And then the pitch was muddy. There was 2 players over the top. The twist came in. Everyone got up as if nothing had really happened, apart from the player on the floor injured. And that's why I feel sorry for him, because I think if no injury would have happened, this wouldn't have even gone to the disciplinary.
Well, that was the point I'm making on TV on Friday night, and I completely agree. If there'd been if Michael Shenton had got up and played on, nothing happens with that. He doesn't even get pinged.
There's dozens and dozens of these every year, every week.
Yeah, it's a tremendous shame for Michael Shenton and what he means to the Castleford Tigers. It's also a tremendous accident, I think. I just don't see any malicious intent in that tackle.
Well, there's dozens and dozens of cases that are cited for dangerous contact under the same rule that this was cited for in the disciplinary each year, and the majority of them end up with no charge.